You're really driven, you get great grades, have a job and yearbook and running, and I mean, wow. The girl with the first and last letters in the alphabet in her name, Aziza, is currently MHS's fastest distance runner. I am usually too busy with the camera. Were you the fastest as soon as you showed up as a freshman?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. When we started doing our time trials in the beginning of cross country and track, I was like one of the fastest. And by the time we got about halfway through the season, I was pretty much the fastest.
I just remember going, who is this girl? And, where did she come from? And I remember talking to you earlier, and you didn't run before high school, correct?
I did do cross country and track in middle school, but I didn't take it very seriously. I kind of treated it as an opportunity to more hang out with my friends and just, make some fun memories. But I ran, but I didn't take it very seriously. If anything, I actually took sprints more seriously in middle school. I did the 4x1, and that was my favorite event. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to do sprints when I get to high school, but that changed.
I can already hear Dylan yelling at you, tempo that, Aziza, tempo that!
Yeah.
I also remember you had vast gains during your cross-country season, especially at Crystal Springs. Is that correct?
Yeah, Crystal Springs was probably the most improvement that I had this year in terms of times.
What are we talking about? Like, how much of a difference?
So freshman year, I ran a 20:50 at Crystal as my PR, and this year I ran an 18:50 at Crystal. So I cut off 2 minutes from freshman to sophomore year, and that was probably the course that I had the most improvement on. Other courses like Baylands and all the invitational ones, I didn't have as much experience with because I got to do Crystal the most this season. So that's where I improved the most at.
2 minutes is insane. I mean, what did you not understand where to, let it all go? Did you sandbag too much for too long?
I think I did. I think definitely in freshman year I did not try as hard. I remember my CCS race where I ran 18:50. I was exhausted for like hours after. I remember finishing the race the second I sat down, and I was like, oh my God, that's really, really hard. And that's what you're supposed to feel after a race. But my freshman year, I never really pushed myself that much. So I think going into this race, especially having that mental idea that I wanted to go to states, it was like I just pushed myself a lot more.
Okay, that leads right into my next question. As a sophomore, you made it to state.
Yeah.
Did you surprise yourself?
A little bit, yes. I surprised myself a little bit because at the beginning of the season, we did a time trial for the 5K, and it was like a 20 something, and I knew I had to run close to like a high 18, and I was to make states. So I was kind of like, I don't really know if I can do this. I just want to get to CCS and do my best. So I definitely surprised myself, but with all like the hard work I put in cross country, I also, a part of me kind of knew I would make it,
Yeah, it's hard for me as a photographer to fight the temptation to take all these pictures of runners when they're just destroyed after a race, because it is amusing. And yeah, I remember you were pretty done.
I was pretty done.
at Crystal Springs anyway. Okay, so let's move on to track. You had a really impressive season. Did you set any records there?
Yes, in terms of personal records, I cut off, I think, 22 seconds in the mile. I went from a 5:18 to a 4:56. That was kind of my only really big PR. In the 800, I ran a 2:17 relay split, but I didn't get to run the 800 as much as I would have liked this season, and I didn't get to do the 3200 at all. So that was personal records, and in terms of like school records, I think I have the all-time for the girls 1600 at MHS.
One of my favorite things, I've always loved watching you run. And I love watching it when you lead the pack for pretty much the entire race. And then in the last, usually it looks like 400, you seem to do it in the third lap, say in the 1600. You just go, well, I'm done with you guys now. Bye. And you just walk away. And one of the things that I think is really amazing is how do you meter, how do you judge how much to hold back?
It's really hard. Actually, I've been trying to do it less because I'll end up doing that and I'll get to the line. Like I'll sprint through the line and I'll realize that I had much more left in the tank. So it kind of depends. If it's like a big invitational that I'm trying to set a PR in, I'll go with the pack as much as possible. And the last 400, I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to put it all out there. I'm just going to go, like it doesn't matter if I can't hold this pace all the way. I'm just going to kind of leave you guys because some people still are a little conservative on the fourth lap. But if it's like some dual meet or something that I'm not trying to run a super fast time at, I'll kind of just stick with the pack, and then on the fourth lap I'll go because I'll be like, I still need to win, right?
Yeah Well, like I say, it's really fun to watch you do it.
Thank you.
Weren't you dealing with an injury during this season?
Yeah, so I had kind of a reoccurring foot injury. I don't know if it was more like plantar fasciitis, but there was a time where I definitely wasn't able to run a lot. I had to do a lot of cross training, like elliptical, swimming. But yeah, if I remember correctly, it was maybe in the middle of track season where I was a little bit kind of out of it. But
You had pneumonia at one point, right?
yes, I did. So I think it was after the Dublin Distance Fiesta. I can't remember the date, maybe late March. I got pneumonia and that knocked me out for a few weeks for sure. And I wasn't able, I competed with pneumonia at the Stanford Invitational. I did horribly. I got second to last. That was my worst race by far this season. And then I went to the doctor afterwards and like, yeah, you have walking pneumonia. So I was like, okay, that's probably why I didn't do as well. But yeah, it definitely took a lot away from my season, and I think that's why I wasn't able to make Arcadia or run at it. So yeah,
I bet they gave you antibiotics and they did nothing, right? Yeah.
yeah, they gave me antibiotics. It helped, but I think definitely time also. I just had to heal.
Do you have any memorable races you want to share? And can we talk about your last race, or do you want to leave that one dead and buried? It's your
We
call.
can definitely we can talk about the last race for sure. I think it's an important part of my season. Other than my last race, in terms of memorable races, I would definitely say Dublin was a memorable race. It was just really fun. It was a good experience. I got to race against so many fast girls, especially being in the sombrero heats. It's one of the faster heats with all the music and just so many people there. It was a really like fun experience. I loved it. It was. I think honestly that might have been one of my favorite races this season. I also set a PR at that time. I ran 5:02, but
Right on.
that was probably my favorite race. Another memorable race was also the Stanford Invitational, which I ran with pneumonia, and like every single second of it was just absolutely horrible. Yeah, I would say those are probably the two most memorable races. And then were you going to ask about my last race?
Yeah, I was. And to me, the most important picture in that collection is the one where I am pointing at the sky because I became so upset seeing that happen to you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just lost control of the camera. That last race, you blew us away. You hung with Kinga and Amaya from Palo Alto
Yeah.
the entire time. Well, you want to describe what happened?
Yeah. So I think that race, I was definitely, I don't know if this is a bad thing, but I was maybe a little too ambitious. I wanted to win. I wanted King. I wanted the time. I later afterwards, I was thinking, I was like, okay, if I played it more safe, if I just went behind them, if I went maybe behind Anna Salter, who's a girl who ended up getting third, she was ranked, I think, fourth in the race, I would have probably made the time or I would have made the place to go to states. But just going into the race, I was like, you know what? I think I can do it. I want to beat Kinga. I want to beat Amaya. I want, like a low 450s. So that was kind of what I was thinking the whole race. The first lap, we went out way too fast. It was a 69, 68. So I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do. And I just hung with them the whole time. And I thought it. And then going into the fourth lap, I obviously I was hurting, but I was feeling pretty normal. And then the last two, I was just like, oh, something's not really right. I got to maybe 150 to go, and I was just pushing through like the most lactic acid I felt in my life. And then with about 70 meters pain, and it was really frustrating because watching the video, like the girls in third, fourth, fifth were pretty far behind me, Kinga and Amaya. So I looked like I had that third position, even though I was dying and Amaya ended up passing me with 200 to go. Maybe I had that strong position, but I have no idea what happened. It was definitely more of a physical thing than a mental thing. Like with 10 meters to the line, I just couldn't move my body, and I think that's like probably the most pain I've been in my life in terms of racing. It was, yeah.
I have only seen it a couple of times. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, you failed, but you have my utmost admiration. You pushed yourself farther than your body was willing to go. And that really is
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah.
Do you look up to anybody?
I look up to a lot of people. For sure, my coaches, they're both really inspiring athletes themselves, and they do workouts with the team a lot of the time. And I just have a lot of respect for them to be able to, like, put into practice what they say in terms of nutrition and training, all of that stuff. And I definitely look up to the people in my CCS, like Kinga and Amaya are really big role models to me, especially all of the Mountain View girls too, like Annie, Cass, Maya. They're all just really nice and good people, and they're so fun to race with. Like, they're just like there's some really good friends that I've made through cross country and track. And in terms of like kind of professional or like higher up runners, definitely the high schoolers like Sadie Englehart and Jane Hedegren and all those girls that are doing some pretty insane things. It's like I have so much respect for them. They're my idols, kind of.
It's one of the sports with the most sportsmanlike conduct I've ever seen. You guys go at each other, but you also encourage each other, which is really cool. And you're already talking to colleges, and you're a sophomore. Any schools in mind?
There are some schools that I would definitely love to go to. I haven't had any like official real contact. I've emailed a few coaches and gotten a few responses, but some colleges that I would really love to be able to talk to are probably UCLA, UC Berkeley, and once I get some faster times, maybe Stanford if I can run like a sub 450 at outdoor nationals. That would be like a dream if I could talk to the Stanford coach. Definitely, I would say UCLA.
You can say hi to Aiden Stephanopoulos.
Yeah.
So you get excellent grades, and you are on the yearbook staff, and on top of that, you do running, and you're working?
Yeah, so I'm a lifeguard at the Milpitas Sports Center, and it's a really fun job. I also get to put like my athletic ability to use. We do a lot of actually swim workouts during when we do our in-service. So fun, and I know how to do like CPR and like wrap bandages and all that stuff. So I actually really like it. It's a great job.
What song do they teach you now?
Staying Alive.
Okay, they still use Staying Alive. I mean,
they still use Staying.
That song was popular when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's very relevant to the topic, CPR, staying alive. Like, I think it's. But I also teach swim lessons to little kids as part of lifeguarding. So that's also.
I can totally see you doing that. Are you training in your off season? And you kind of already answered that because you're doing the swimming. Swimming is really good.
Yeah, swimming actually definitely helps build like my cardio and fitness. When I swim and run at the same time, I feel very in shape. So I'm currently training for outdoor nationals. So I'm doing that, and then I'm swimming as well. Just kind of continuing my regular training plan along with implementing some cross training after I do nationals. I'll probably take a 1 week break and then start training for cross country.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
You're that Nike Outdoor National. You're training for that, you said?
Yeah, that's June 22nd. So
okay. You're really driven. You get great grades, have a job and yearbook and running, and I mean, wow. Do you have any advice for young people that are thinking about getting into running sports?
Advice for young people, I would say not just kind of gauge what you want out of the sport, gauge what times you want to be able to run, how seriously you want to take it, because definitely a regret I have is going into my freshman year and being very like loosey-goosey about not caring. I mean, I cared about track, but not enough to where I was able to run faster times. So I would say just kind of know what you want out of the sport and know how you want to treat your training, how seriously you want to take it. If you want to run in college, just think about things like that. And if you just want to do it to get in shape, stay fit, and have fun, that's totally okay. But if you want to kind of get to that higher level, I would say just realize that now and understand what it's going to take to get there.
Awesome advice. Well, Aziza, again, you're amazing. Thank you for being on the Handoff. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for interviewing me. Bye.